Hey everybody, Dr. David Evans here. We're happy for all of you watching the Pick TV Network Spotlight. We're so happy today that my godson Isaiah Donnell Thomas is on today to bring forth a great spoken word artist, music artist. We on. Tell somebody to turn on to the Pick TV Network Spotlight that's on. We want to welcome our audience again in Brazil, Chile, Canada, Argentina, France, United Kingdom, United States, everywhere that the Pick TV network is on right now around the world, especially for those on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and we're also coming to Alexa. Yep, Alexa is a brand new way we'll be developing our audio version. Our friends in Clubhouse listening from audio, thank you for tuning in all over the world. The Pick TV network, your network, is on right now. Let's get right into it. Isaiah, you have a special guest on, man. You have so many people that come on and interview the spotlight. And now you have a very special guest that you want to introduce the world to right now. It's in your hands.
Thank you. Evans. We are so blessed and excited and grateful to have this young lady with us today. I had the pleasure of seeing her. We were doing a TV taping in Baltimore, and I saw her give a spoken word. I saw her get on the piano. I saw her sing. I said, my God, what else can she do? She is very talented, gifted, anointed, serious about ministry, and it is my pleasure to sit down with her today. She is the one and only. We're going to be talking to Rizal today, and we're going to get right into this. Hi, Rizal.
Hi, Isaiah. Razel.
How are you doing?
I'm good. We went over it. It's Razel.
My God. I've been working so hard to get it right.
I had a feeling that would happen though, so it's all right. Hi, thank you for having me.
Oh my God!
Watching, it's good to be here.
Razel. Listen, as I said earlier, I had the pleasure of seeing you sing, do a performance at a TV taping we did together in Baltimore, and I fell in love with your music as soon as I heard it. Your style, your uniqueness, everything about your ministry was absolutely amazing. And I said, man, we had to figure out how to get you on the Pick TV network. And thank God you are now here. And we're going to do this exclusive interview. And also we want to show this amazing video that you have. But before we get into all of that, just tell the viewers that are watching you for the first time, how did you get into this whole music thing? How did you get started?
Sure. Well, I have been pretty much raised in church my entire life. In that, I mean, I went, I guess, the typical route that a kid growing up in church would, serving, and I came to know my gifts at an early age, sing and play the piano. So I would serve on the youth choir throughout my childhood. I would sing in church, and whatever events that church would have, I would sing solos and all the works. And it just kind of stuck with me. At my parents' house, there's a piano, and that piano has been there since as long as I can.
I see. And so can you tell us how you got into, when did you realize that you could sing, you could play, you could write, you could do spoken word? How did you go into all of those different areas?
Absolutely. I'm sorry, about a couple seconds ago I was getting a phone call, but
okay.
Yeah, no. When I realized I could play the piano, the piano in my parents' house, it just kind of evolved from there. Just, as a kid, anything that's loud, that makes noise, I'm attracted to it. So I was just starting to bang at it at like 2 or 3 years old. But then at like probably age 3 and 4, I was like, oh, these two keys go together. These two keys, you know, and it just kind of just went from there. And my mother is actually the one that called it. She says, "Oh my goodness, Razel, you know, you have an ear for music." She would talk to my father and say, "She has an ear for music. We need to help her develop that." So, as I got older, you know, in church and in high school, from like middle school to high school, I had some classes, some piano classes. I think I had like one vocal class when I got to college, but nothing really consistent in that area. Because I would literally just memorize things and it would just come out that way. So I think having the skill of memorization at an early age really helped propel everything that I can do to where it is now. But yeah, I realized that I could sing and play and write probably around the ages of, I'll say, Isaiah, the ages of like between 8 and 10.
Wow.
And I just remember I was heavy into basketball. So I'm running around with my dad to all types of tournaments. He's taking me to, you know, he was my coach at one point.
Wow.
He actually, he coached me for a while. But when basketball had ceased, I had time to really hone in on my craft. And from age like 13 to 16, 17, I was in that adolescent stage and I was just going through a lot of things, really finding out, you know, trying to find out who I was. And I think it was around that time where I realized how much worship and how much music was kind of a refuge for me. And I didn't realize that that's what God was showing me at that time. But between those ages, I would spend literally hours in my room. My father bought me my first keyboard. He brought me this 88 key big old Casio. I still have it upstairs. And I would plug that thing in and I would just go literally for hours in my room. While other kids were out at the movies or skate land, you know, all the stuff at the mall on a Friday night. My idea of a Friday night was coming home from school, doing homework. My dad ordered a pizza, he would watch the game, and then I'd go upstairs and just practice. But it was in those times where I learned to really develop my ears, not just from music, but for hearing the voice of God through music, and to write and to. It was just a time, man. Like I love to write, but when I came across music and when I really started to dive in, I took those memorization skills, I took those writing skills, and just really just linked the melody and the music together, which is funny because for such a long time, I had immersed myself in the gift of music. I had just dove as hard as I could into music, into playing, into singing, writing songs and recording music and albums and EPs and features and traveling and singing and all of that. But as blessed as I have been to do that, somewhere along the line, it's like spoken word started at an early age, but then it kind of fell by the wayside. And it wasn't because of anything intentional. It was just kind of the way how my life was set up, you know? So recently I, you know, especially with this pandemic, we've all been in the season of reset, right? Just kind of a recalibration of thought and allowing God to speak to me. So I think that he told me to go back to my roots, so to speak. Not to stop music, because I'm not going to stop that ever, but to dive back into spoken word and to realize that, hey, well, spoken word started at the same time music started in your life. And to allow that to grow together even more powerfully with the music. So that's where I am right now. Diving back into spoken word, producing more, you know, projects more often. Like that video, it's not going to be the last of it. But yeah, that's kind of been my journey. No formal mapping out of anything as far as like, hey, you're going to go here for school for music, or you're going to do this. It's really just been an organic process. I've been blessed to meet a lot of amazing people, you being one of them, actually. And that recording that night was just absolutely amazing. I still remember it. But yeah, it's just been a process, just taking it how it comes and letting the rest take its course.
That is awesome. You said something that's funny. You said your dad bought you a Casio. I
Yeah.
think that's every uh, musician that starts. It's not official until you get a Casio keyboard.
That's right. That's right.
My dad bought me a white Casio
Uh-huh.
keyboard, and literally I took it everywhere with me.
Mm-hmm.
Everywhere I went, I took it. It was so funny because I'll be walking around in school with my keyboard, and I would put it in my locker. When I went to classes, if I could take it with me, I would. I would take it home from school. Everywhere I went, I felt like I had to have it. That's why I would tell my dad, I would say, Dad, make sure you buy me enough batteries because
Yeah. Yeah.
because I don't want the keyboard to go dead, man. If I get an idea, if I get, and he made sure I had good batteries.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, he made sure that keyboard. I think I played it until it conked out, but I think that's just funny. I think as a musician, that's a part of becoming a musician. You got to get a Casio.
You have to. Yeah, it's a part of the starter pack. So
Yes, I
and
think
that's good
so.
that you kept it on you every time, because you never know when you never know when inspiration is going to come. So you got to capture it.
That's right. That's
Mm-hmm.
right. And a lot of stuff I learned how to play. Believe it or not, I learned on that Casio.
Mm-hmm.
I really did. I would when I first started learning songs, like when songs would come on the radio, I had to listen to the bass line.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, if I could figure the bass line out, I could try to. I would do like, well, this chord is not going to work with this bass note, so that can't be it.
Mm-hmm.
And I would learn songs like that.
Right.
So it would be more so, instead of me really applying my ear to learn what was happening, I could figure out what should not be played,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what determined what I kept. I would
Nice.
say, no, this chord is not going to work with this bass line. Okay, so I
Mm-hmm.
gotta try something else, and I did that for years, and I was like learning. At the time, Commission was my most favorite group,
Mm-hmm.
and I used to play Commission 24/7. And that's how I learned a lot of their music, from their bass lines.
Mm-hmm.
And then as I got older, music starts getting a little bit more tricky, more progressive, and I couldn't do that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to stop cheating and really sit down
Mm.
and learn the music. So, and that leads me to ask you this: what age were you when it went from a talent to ministry? I heard you say you could hear God speaking to you.
Mm-hmm.
At what age did it kind of shift from just a talent or just a gift to, I think God is breathing on what I'm doing or what I'm trying to interpret?
What age? You know what? I would say for a number, I would say probably like age 16, 15 or 16.
Okay.
And the reason I say that age is that I realize that this is something that can be really be used to bless people. I saw the response I would get from people in my church.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the church that I grew up in, it had a lot of elderly people, but it also had a wide range of age,
Okay.
from my grandma to, my little cousin. And we were all in there, all ages, all different walks of life. But I saw that the response was the same across the board.
Wow.
And I realized that, okay, this person is elderly, but this person is my age, and they're both saying the same thing. I realized that there is a divine dynamic that the Lord gave me to really minister to his people.
Mm.
And I kind of just took that and ran with it because, you know, it's a great feeling when you can exert yourself and you can express yourself, and then you inspire others to do the same. Or people would come to me at a young age and say, man, I really needed that today. Or, man, you have no idea. Isaiah, it's been a lot of times when someone has messaged me, someone sent me a text message, or came up to me in person after I'm ministering, and they're like, wow, you have no idea what I was going through, but that just gave me the strength I needed. It was in those moments that I had learned to reverence what God had given me at a young age, because something in me knew that I could not take that lightly. Because I'm not the only singer. I'm not the only musician. I'm not the only one who's gifted and talented and can do all of these things. So the fact that I was chosen to be able to render myself in that way, it's one of my life's highest honor to this day. So I think the organic response from people at like age 15, 16, it really escalated from there, because, you know, I met friends in high school who also sang, and they're like, hey, you know, sing at this event, sing at this event. And next thing I know, I'm singing at Baptist churches, to Pentecostal churches, and then I go to cathedrals and St. Peter's and Catholic churches and minister. So it birthed a whole spectrum of types of atmospheres that I would be able to minister in. And then it really just went from there. I got to college and met some awesome people. And then after college, I met some more awesome people. And I would get asked to sing at outside events, but the ministry aspect of it was really highlighted again when I would get that response. But also I would do music at these events, but then after that, like, the main objective would be evangelism. The main objective would be outreach. So yeah, that's when I realized, I learned at a young age that music is literally just a tool to reach people. And as musicians, as creative, we are commissioned to sharpen that tool. We're commissioned to keep that arsenal updated. So when it's time to minister at these events, yeah, you have fun on stage because it's what you love to do. But afterwards is where it really, really starts to unfold. So yeah, I think that's it. And I'm truly grateful. I'm grateful for it all, you know.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. So now let's talk about a little bit how you transition into a recording artist. I know it's one thing to, a lot of people say all the time, you know, I wrote this song, I wrote this melody, and I did this, and that, but it's a whole different animal, as you know, when you have to go in the studio and and all of these things have to come together and they have to work
Mm-hmm.
together in harmony, and you know your brain is going and you got to put this thing together. At what age did you say, or did you think, hey, maybe I need to go in the studio and see how I can lay my ideas down and see how it can come together?
Well, I had wanted to go in the studio because I grew up listening to people like Ty Tribbett, you know. Um,
Shout out to Ty.
yeah, shout out to Ty. That guy
Yeah.
is a huge inspiration for me.
Mm.
But I grew up to listening to guys like him, and at a young age, I was like, well, I want to do what they're doing. I want to go in the studio, but it wasn't until I'll say about age 22, 23, that I really was like, okay, all of this stuff, I have to put it in an atmosphere where it can be analyzed, where it can be perfected, where it can be recorded and captured. Um, and I think, what was it, the summer of 2013,
Mm.
I'd moved back home from college, and, you know, I had a job, and I was just like, well, this is the time where I need to start fishing for studios. So I would like look online, but again, it's that organic process that just happened. I met some great people with some great connections, and then next thing I know, like around age 23, 24, I found myself in a consistent recording studio.
Okay.
So that was a huge blessing. And I was able to record a couple of projects out of that studio.
Wow.
Hmm.
Did you go in the studio working alone, or did you bring a team of producers, or how did it come together to start making your productions in the beginning?
So I have been working with one producer consistently. His name is Calvin Holmes. And it's just pretty much it's just been him and I working together, besides like features and things of that nature,
Mhm.
bringing other artists into the studio. I called on some people like once or twice for background vocals, but for the most of that time it's been him and I.
Okay.
And I was blessed to come across Calvin. He and I literally speak the same language when it comes to music. He was able to really hone in on what I was trying to do. And I'm like, yes, this string set, or yes, I need this kind of pad. And he's like, he's very, very in tune with the style of music. So it's been him and
Mhm.
I for a long time. I
Okay.
did get a chance to work with a young man named Travis Higgins. Shout out to Travis.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
you know him? He's based out of Harford County. That guy is. And I was blessed to work with him for a short amount of time, but mostly it's been Calvin and I.
Okay.
Yeah.
How important is that to find someone who is on the same page or has the can almost interpret what you're thinking and say, hey, this I want to go, and have someone that can actually bring it to life for you? How important is that in the area of production?
It is vital. It
Mhm.
is one of the absolute most important things, only because for me, it goes beyond the actual music. Um,
Hmm.
Whoever I'm working with has to understand and marry into the vision that uh, this is coming from a very deep place. This is coming from a very intimate place. So the
Wow.
fact that I am translating it to the studio and I am placing it in your care, I'm basing you. I'm basically trusting you. With uh, with that inclination, there has to be a great level of trust, and I know that is uh, that's something that Calvin and I established very early.
Hmm.
And I'm blessed to have done that. So it's very, very vital, because you have to, when you come into the studio, whoever you're working with, you have to be comfortable with them. You have to be comfortable with working with them, and like, hey, I heard this, or da 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 da. I want to hear, I want to write this, or I hear this, and they have to be receptive of that, in my opinion, in order to get the point across.
Wow. That's awesome. Let's talk about this video that we want to premiere on the Pick T Network. I want you to set it up. In my opinion, it caught me immediately because it's different. We see a ton of videos every day. This video, the message was very powerful, and also even the way you did the video was just different than normal when you see a lot of videos out here. Set up the concept of this particular video and what you're trying to um, get across to the masses on this particular video and song.
Sure, sure. So this video is entitled "Holiness Hurts," and it's a spoken word that, in the time of when the pandemic first happened, again, I was in that reset mode and that recalibration mode, getting back to my roots with spoken word. And I had a burden on my heart for people who had, quite frankly, have been hurt by the church. Church hurt is a topic that
Ah,
is very, very popular, and it's not popular for good reasons. Obviously, it's been perpetuated throughout decades. So uh, I wanted to really, really hone in on the specifics, not just my experience, but the experience of what I felt like a lot of my peers had gone through.
mm,
A lot of these millennials, they have been in church their entire lives, but somewhere along the line they got hurt. they got stabbed in the back, and let's just be real, they were hurt by these ministers and these preachers, and some of them I know were really, really hurt by words. Some of them were hurt by actions, and even some molested. I mean, there's a spectrum of things that have been done. So I wanted to create a video and construct a message that didn't shy away from that, that didn't negate the pain that people had gone through, therefore resulting in people being driven to try other belief systems and other religions, or fall into spirals of depression, or whatever the negative effects. People have been so ensnared by that. I wanted to really capture what it meant to experience church hurt. So the title, I grew up in an apostolic holiness church, with the mothers with the skirt down to the floor,
yes.
your ankle, don't wear no earrings, don't do nothing.
Yes.
I wanted to capture that because growing up, I would hear the term all the time: holiness is still right. Holiness is right. And that is the truth. That is the absolute truth. I stand on that. But in humanity's projection of holiness came a lot of hurt, came a lot of pain. And because it came through these flawed filters of human beings and all of these actions, holiness is right, but it hurts. And I'm going to list out the reasons as to why it hurts. So I wanted to just make that plain, point it out. Hey, you've been hurt by the church. I've been hurt by the church. I've been church hurt. We all been through it. But I wanted to also point out and emphasize just as much that there's a divine extraction that has to happen between humans and the deity of God and the deity of Jesus Christ.
That's good.
And I wanted to just point out, yes, you've been hurt. Yes, you've been hurt. But these are people who don't have it all together themselves. But there is a God who is crazy about you, who loves you for you. And he's willing to meet you where you are, no matter where you are. He wants to love you back to life. And I want this spoken word to be an extension of that love. Now, not completely throwing the church under the bus, because we're here for a reason. There's a point that I make in the spoken word that says they were far from perfect, but they knew where their help came from. So it's also to expose what the church has done, but also restore power back to the church.
Sure.
Restore power back to those who still want to do this thing called holiness, who still want to just do it right, and not be afraid of their humanity in the process.
Whoa, you just said a whole lot. I mean, we're going to break now, and we're going to see this video. And then we're going to come back and do a recap on what we have just witnessed with our own eyes. It's phenomenal. And I'm so happy to have you on the PIC TV network.
I'm so happy to be here.
And we're going to watch this video, and then we're going to come back and do a recap.
Okay. The sun was generous in showing its face. I appreciated the kisses of illumination of the pews through the lenses of stained glass windows with colors as vibrant as fire. Lanterns that hung faithfully above my head, showing off their golden frames, encircling the light in their cylindrical bodies like they had a message. The balcony like a watchman with eagle's glare, with the staircase leading to where I just knew the angel sat while Bishop preached. And my eyes stood paralyzed. The man in the mural downstairs, his eyes spoke eternities of wisdom so vivid that it already covered my future foolish moments. I looked forward to walking into the sanctuary where Grandma Vivian played no games, obliviously fellowshipping with the Holy Spirit. naively dreaming in Super Mario animations that overtook my mind, gave birth to my imagination of what God looked like. My heart said, this is it. The smile on my grandmother's face when she saw me in my church clothes, that's a myth, by the way. My heart said, this is it. The music that flooded the sanctuary, mimicking the glory of God disguised as ecstasy for my emotions. My heart said, this is it. Fine linens and polyester suits with hats that made it feel like Wakanda. The spirit of excellence that saturated the First Lady General, trickling down like the oil on my head when I went up for prayer. The organ that formulated a response from every organ, the dispensation of every piece of my soul. My heart said, this is it. This is the answer to my isolation as a black sheep in a room full of wolves. The tranquility of an oasis to a desert of no validation for my pain, where my enemies are hailed as glorious and I'm expected to downplay my afflictions, pissing on my head and calling it rain. My heart said, this is it. You see, I had a longing for the whole truth, but he was given to me in pieces, served in the kitchen of tradition where the mission was for you to speak in tongues or you going to hell. Because that was the only way to prove your authentication. Long skirts and no earrings, a yet debauchee with heels under 2 inches, quenches of the Holy Spirit when he would bring his fresh fire. The injection of false perfection in my veins, hemorrhaging my expressions of just wanting to be more like him. And no, I'm not bashing, I'm just speaking to the stigmas. No, it's not blasphemy, just consolation for enigmas. Casting my net trying to calculate these figures. I'm talking to those who left God because of a church leader. Catapulted yourself into the deception of your own clarity. Made amends with a hardened heart, the throne of your own life, and became Pharaoh and frozen because you couldn't let it go. I'm talking to you because I'm not that far removed. I had to draw the line in the sand, command my life to know the difference between what holiness looks like and who. Peeling off the projected prognosis, I saw him. Dodging the doctrine of man-made diagnosis, I saw him. I ran to a life of unexpected revelatory moments, the unlocking of scripture that changed the pace of my crosswalk, organic manifestations of the Bible, extracting the one who loves me unconditionally from the conditional love of church people. So please, I invite you to eat the fish and spit out the bone. Jesus loves you and he hates the sin that keeps you away from him. So fall into the fisherman's net, be caught from the waters you're drowning in because he walked on them. Don't rob yourself of a father who knew you before your daddy did, whether he was there to raise you or not. So please, don't get it twisted, because even in church, I was lifted. Absorbing the commitment of my grandmother, I was shifted. My perspective pivoted. Despite the limitations of function in her body, consistent aches and pains while managing her diabetes. Arthritis made me mad because I could never hug her how I wanted to. She pressed every Sunday, knowing every movement would be costly to give God glory. A body that was bound, yet she made prison step into freedom. So I can't deny the hymns that taught me about him. I can't deny the blessed assurance of Psalm 23 that she prayed over me, because I was steadfastly followed by grace and mercy. The saints from when I was 3 became my great cloud of witnesses. They were far from perfect, but they knew where their help came from. Even with judgmental eyes, because you need a slip under that dress, baby, which was masqueraded as not accepting us for who we are. But could it have been the intended implementation of a standard, lost in the translation of, that's not what you meant, but that's not what my trauma tells me? How was I supposed to know that you meant me well? That my tattoos and piercings wouldn't send me straight to hell? I don't mean to rhyme, but I don't have the time to sit here and act like we did all things well. I'm just so glad God looks at the heart instead of the shell. So can you see him? Strong tower, who knew you would take refuge elsewhere. Can you see him? The one who you know called your name, but can't separate from the sin that so closely clings, plagiarizing your identity and calling it the same. Counterfeit blood coursing through your veins because you died a long time ago. A walking corpse remains. Can you see him? Because while you're buried in the cemetery of self-imposed paradigms, it's just the Alpha and Omega that's waiting on your resurrection.
Whoa. Whoa, come on in, Dr. Evans.
I'm blown away, man. I'm just like, I'm blown away. You know, I heard the spoken word for the first time at Carnegie Mellon University when my son Amos was doing a concert there about 9 years ago. And he opened up his concert with a brother who did spoken word. It was just amazing. And for Rizal to come on today is history. You know, we have a spoken word channel, and she is going to be showcase of this channel. It's just amazing. I'm just so happy. You know, tomorrow's my birthday, and I got an early birthday present. Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. It's my birthday, May the 20th, and my godson Isaiah. I know, man, and I'm gonna get ready to move on because I know you asked a couple more questions before we close. Have you ever thought in your life you would be over 3 big music channels on television around the world, reaching 53 million people, and bringing on an artist like this with spoken word all over the world?
Actually, when I was listening to the video, I literally got chills down my spine. Watching the video, it has the same effect on me every time because it really makes you examine your life, and it really makes you look at what's really holiness in the sight of God, or what's really holiness through man-made doctrine. And it causes you to do a self-examination, and that's why it's so inspiring to me to watch that video, and the fact that she's gorgeous in that video. Like, who did that video? Did amazing.
Shout out to my man Jeffrey Perkins from J Perk Productions, but also my amazing makeup artist. Her name is Diana Taylor. She is the CEO and founder of Tailor Made Faces. Shout out to Diana Taylor. I literally trust her with everything and anything she puts on my face. And that was only the second time she did my makeup. So the first time she did it was for my album cover, and she does things with such excellence that she's built that kind of rapport with me. So she can put anything on my face at any time.
Wow, well, you look amazing.
Isaiah, we got people popping in all over, man. I can see some things that you can't see over on my end. You know, people giving comments all the way from New York. This young called Patty said, "I'm watching from New York, viewing the presentation." Yeah, and we got other people, Brazil, France, Argentina. You know, this is really big, Isaiah, and I'm so happy that you're bringing her to the world, man. You got to get her information before we close out in the next 10 minutes. How you can get in touch with her. I know you're gonna feature her again on the Big TV network, man. We got to play her over and over and over again. But people are popping in, you know, giving inspiration, sending love out there. You know, from New York, it's amazing. That means she's telling other people, and other people telling other people. So I'm excited.
I'm excited about ministry, and I'm excited about what God is doing through you. And you know, all I can tell you is to keep going and to keep pushing. I know you have challenges; we all have. But you got to keep pushing because you have something to say. I know a lot of people out here are gifted, but they don't have anything to say. You have something to say. So you have to keep pushing and keep going forward because you're doing an amazing job doing that. I want you to tell the people quickly, we're getting ready to close, but I want you to tell them how to get in touch with you as an artist, management, if they want you to come to Brazil tomorrow, how do they do that?
Sure. So I have my music email, officialrazelmusic@gmail.com. That's the word official, Razel spelled Raizel. I think it's at the bottom of the screen here. Music@gmail.com. Email me. You can also contact me on Facebook and Instagram. My Facebook music page is just simply Razel. That's it, Raizel. Instagram, you can hit me up. My Instagram handle is Sounds Like Razel. Sounds Like Razel. Feel free to hit me up. Let's chat. Let's talk. If you have questions about the video, I'd be honored to answer anything you have. I'm looking forward to hear from you.
Now, do you have anything for purchase? If someone would like to purchase your music, anything on
I
iTunes?
do. I have physical copies of my CD as well as
Okay,
I have 2 projects online on all
wonderful,
digital music outlets,
great,
Google, Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube, you name it, it's there. Just
wonderful.
type in Razel, just the first name, Razel, Raizel. And I have a project, I have an EP out called Refined, and I have an album out called Refined Volume 2. So you can look
Whoa.
out for that.
Well, Razor, we're going to have you back. So
Absolutely. Looking
this is just
forward
the
to it.
beginning. And we're going to have you up on my music channel promoting this particular video, but anything else you have, we want to be an exclusive. We want to exclusively have you on the PIC TV network. So channel 1016, my music channel. If you want to check her out, she's there now. We got her going up in the system.